Hi, welcome back. Great to see you for video number 3. I know now if you've watched video number 2 and number 1 and now you're watching video 3, I know you're really interested. So delighted to be with you again today. Thank you again for joining me. So a couple of things to get through today. So yesterday I mentioned and we went through flexion from the upper portion of the body, and today we're going to look at from the lower portion of the body. So let's just get straight into that. So first of all, as you're sitting there in a chair or whatever, I want you to become very aware of your sit bones. They stick right down into that chair. Okay, so they're going to be a very strong tool for us to keep our pelvis in order, basically. So we're going to just go ahead and lie down. I'm thinking of the 100 exercise again for today. So you have your hip bones, your ASIS that pop out to the front here, and you have your pubic bone. Now if I place the heel of my hand on the hip bones and my fingers down onto my pubic bone, for gravity, for most of us, gravity will have these hip bones, the ASIS, lower than my pubic bone. So I need to go into a slight tilt forwards because I want those 3 bones level like 3 legs of a stool. Okay, now when you go into this position, a lot of people find that a huge curve in their low back and those last few ribs have maybe lifted off the mat. So we're going to come back to that in a moment. So first of all, hold these bones steady. The next thing is we take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, without moving your pelvis, you're going to try and get your lumbar closer to the mat. And that activates the core naturally. And for most, it will get those ribs down onto the mat. Now they breathe through their rib cage. They don't breathe into their tummy anymore. Now the next question is important you want to ask yourself or your customer is, do they feel that their back is working harder than their front? And if it is, allow them to go into a slight posterior tilt, but not a mush into the mat. Okay? So that's how we find pelvic neutral. Now, of course, then we ask them to go into flexion, which we covered yesterday. Now, if you keep an eye on my pelvis, what usually happens is something like this. They tuck the pelvis back. Okay? And so they keep having this pelvis hula dance as they come up and down into flexion. So we never stabilize or strengthen it. Okay? So the sit bones. So if you reach your left arm around and find your left sit bone. Now if you have long enough arms, you can do it with both. If you pull your finger back into your sit bone, your pelvis will go into a posterior tilt. Do the opposite. Push your finger away with your sit bone. It feels a little bit like you're sticking your bum out behind you. And it takes a go or two, but really push away with that sit bone. And that forces pelvic neutral right there. Now, I usually get them to keep holding that sit bone or keep pushing that sit bone into their finger for the first few. Now they're going to need that flexible thoracic spine that we went through yesterday to do that efficiently. Very important cue, and it works really, really well. Now I'm going to make flexion even easier for you today. So I'm using the tower, so your trap table or your tower. I've got 2 medium springs on. You go even heavier, it would make it even easier. So I've learned about my sit bones. I've taken my deep inhale, exhale, getting my lumbar a little closer. I'm comfortable, I'm ready to go. Now as I go into flexion, I'm using the tower here to remove gravity, to make it much easier and for it to slow down the whole process. And so this is the easiest place in my experience to teach flexion. Okay, so let me just put that bar away. So, voila, ping on. So that 100 is fairly straightforward. It's modified, I find knees bent and so on. But what if we take them up a little bit and we bring their two legs up into a tabletop position? And what you often see is they do the 100, you know, they start out well and so on. And then the legs sort of flop, or, you know, they're forgotten. And so Pilates, every move is a whole body experience. So let's talk about the lower body for a second. So when they come into this position, I want their knees pretty much over their humeral head. And I ask them to reach their knees to the ceiling. And you feel this opening in the hip flexors and the thighs, a lengthening. They squeeze the heels together. And if you do this with me, you'll see everything kicking into place. And then I ask them to imagine they're pulling their heels to their buttocks. They're not actually moving them, but they're imagining they're pulling their heels to the buttocks. And you feel the contraction in the hamstrings and the glutes and so on. And then from there, I have everything going. The legs are active, everything's going. Now if I straighten those legs out and make it more challenging, it's the same thing. Now I'm imagining my feet are on a wall and I'm pushing something firm away. So I've received a number of emails. Thank you for them. Keep them coming if you wish. Now remember, today is the last day where you get that €2,780 off this amazing all-inclusive membership, or it's over 38%, whichever numbers you prefer. So join up today if you know you want to, and thank you. I can't wait to work with you, to be honest. However, if you do still have some questions, I'm going to answer the questions that I've received over the last couple of days now. Obviously you can still email me. So 3 questions really came up. The most popular one was, what language is the course taught in? And yes, it's all taught in English. The second question that came up a few times was, am I teaching all the modules? And yes, I am. So I'm going to be your mentor through the whole mentorship and potentially for the rest of your Pilates career. I'm here for you. And the other thing is, can we ask questions during the modules and throughout the mentorship? Absolutely you can. I'm here to teach you, so please, from here on in, ask me as many questions as you feel you need to ask me. That's extremely important for your long-term benefit, obviously. Now, the other thing I mentioned in video 2 yesterday was that I was going to give you a really good tool, or Pilates secret, if I can call it that, for people who really want to do Pilates to improve their breathing capacity. That could be somebody with asthma or COPD or something like that. Okay, so here's my Pilates secret for you to help people with breathing, asthma, COPD, or maybe just a bad winter. So you need a little tool. And so I'm going to talk you through this because I'm going to put this in my mouth in a moment and I won't be able to talk to you. But what I'm going to do in a moment, the exercise on the reformer here is the mermaid. I have one heavy spring on. So you can purchase these online or in your pharmacy. So you've obviously got your little mouthpiece. This is an inspirator. You can also use an expirator. The inspirator is going to make your lungs, your diaphragm stronger. It's like a workout for them. And the expirator helps get mucus or infection out of your lungs. So use both. You get a nose piece. So you really need the nose piece. So I'm going to pop that on my nose, like so. And then I'm going to come into my mermaid position. I probably sound very funny with this on my nose. So I'm in my mermaid position. It's very hard to talk with this in my mouth. And I'm going to place the inspirator mouthpiece into my mouth. Absolutely amazing. Give it a shot. Amazing. What I call a secret Pilates tool. Thank you again for watching. See you soon. Take care.